All right, we are interviewing best-selling author Jen Stephens. She's going to talk to us about being healthy with intermittent fasting, and she's a teacher. Let's do it.
Substitute Teachers Lounge.
All right, Substitute Teachers Lounge is now proud to interview best-selling author Jen Stephens. Jen, how are you doing today?
Hey, Greg, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
That's fantastic. I'll say right from the beginning that her book has led me towards a loss of 9.5 pounds in the last 3 weeks and 2.5 inches off my stomach. And I know that we talk about this with teachers all the time. Jen is a doctor of education. She taught for, I believe you said 28 years. Is that right?
I did. I taught for 28 years. I
Good.
retired at the end of 2018. My most recent position was as the elementary gifted specialist at my school. I worked with 2nd through 5th graders, but I've taught all levels of elementary, science lab, gifted kids, regular classroom.
Oh, wow. Nice. Well, why don't you just kind of describe your life journey, the highlights of your career, and how you eventually found intermittent fasting?
Fabulous. Yeah, I have always been a teacher. I think probably a lot of your audience remembers being a kid and just knowing, hey, I'm a teacher. I entertained other career paths, but it was always going to be teaching. So, I graduated from college in 1990 with an elementary education degree. It's what I always wanted to do. And I started teaching at that point, and it was always elementary, and I just loved it. And so, I always have taught everyone everything all around me. I even taught teachers things. I like to do staff development, and I like to go to conferences. So, I like to teach my husband.
Right.
How we get accused of talking to our spouses like, hey, I'm not in your class, right? But, like a lot of teachers, I would eat lunch in the cafeteria. I was, not sedentary because, of course, teachers are on our feet all the time, but
right.
Moving around the classroom, moving around the halls, but it's a different kind of activity level. And so, you would have that coffee during the work day, and then it got to be coffee with lots of cream and sugar. And then you would have, the big old diet sodas to keep you going and the snacks. And like so many teachers, I struggled with my weight. It really is something a lot of teachers have in common. And so my weight would go up, my weight would go down, it would go up, it would go down. And so over the years, I tried every crash diet there was, and my weight just kept going up and up. So finally, in 2014, I realized I weighed 210 pounds and I'm 5'5", so I was officially obese. And I knew that it was time for me to do something about it. Well, I was like, all right, I got to pull out another diet. What am I going to do? And in late 2014, I started intermittent fasting, and it was the last time I started it. I had actually heard of intermittent fasting in 2009, and I had, yo-yoed on and off of it just because I felt like it was a diet like all the other diets.
Right.
And it never could stick because I wouldn't give it enough time for it to become a lifestyle. I didn't really see it as a lifestyle. But that time in 2014 when I realized, I've got to change my life. I can't stay on this diet roller coaster going up and down, up and down.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, intermittent fasting is going to be what it is for me. And so I jumped in, and thinking of it like a lifestyle really, I think, helped me to turn the corner. And I went on to lose over 80 pounds.
Nice.
And here's what's really fun. You don't know this, but the day that we're recording this, tomorrow is my 5-year anniversary of hitting my goal weight.
Oh, cool.
Yep. And so I have not only maintained my 80-pound loss, I've gone on to, shrink down another couple of sizes over the years in maintenance.
Right.
So, I was pushing a size 16W, and I'm sitting here in size 0 shorts today. So.
Nice.
And thanks to intermittent fasting. But what I wanted to get into with that is, I'm a teacher, like I said. So what else was there for me to do except teach the world about intermittent fasting? So in 2016, well, actually in 2015, I started a very small Facebook support group just for me and some friends who did intermittent fasting, where we could talk about our journeys. And then it started to grow and grow and grow. So I realized in 2016, we needed a book that would really teach us how to take intermittent fasting and apply it to our lives. Because, there were books out there written by doctors. Dr. Jason Fung had released the Obesity Code, which was fabulous, but it didn't really tell you how. I mean, it kind of did, but you had to dig in. So, by that point, I'd been doing intermittent fasting for a couple of years, and I had been at my goal weight. And I thought, I think I'm going to write a book, as if I were talking to a friend and teaching them about intermittent fasting. And that's what I did. And that little book, Delay, Don't Deny, Living an Intermittent Fasting Lifestyle, has gone on to become an Amazon bestseller.
Yeah.
And right now, today, it's number 3 in the weight loss category.
Nice,
and it just sells and sells. So I'm thrilled about, more than anything, about being able to teach the world about intermittent fasting. That's how I want to be known, as the teacher who teaches everyone about intermittent fasting.
Great. Let me tell you how I was led to your book. Our best friends in the world, Mike and Beth McCormick, they live out in St. Louis. They're one of they're on your Facebook group. They posted on there one day their success with it. And I said, well, heck, I've tried diet. To be honest, I have always been successful with diets. If I wanted to put myself on a diet and lose 20 pounds, it really didn't matter what diet I chose. It worked. But, I gained it all back probably within 2 years.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
I tried every diet too. And I mean, some of them I wouldn't lose very much, but if I white knuckled it long enough, I could lose the weight, but it always yo-yoed back up. Until this time.
And it's funny, they had learned about it. Lynn Trask, her sister-in-law, she's also on your Facebook page. But let me tell you, you're going to fuss at me for the way I read your book. Once they told me about it, I just wanted to get started. I said, well, I trust them. I'll be honest. I said, well, I've heard the phrase. I don't really know that much about it. Now, to be honest, when I bring up to people now that I'm doing it, everybody's heard about it now.
That's true.
But I went straight to chapter 6 and 7 because I wanted to just start. And that's basically where you give the most details about, 20, I'm doing 20 hours with a 4-hour window. Right. And that's where you give, I think those are the chapters. You give the basics about that and what to eat and what not to eat during the fasting time. And I like black coffee, so that worked out well for me. But once I realized it was working, I couldn't wait to get back and read the rest of the book. And then, when you talk about the insulin spikes, and it just all made so much sense to me. So I'm going to tell the listeners right now, the first thing you do is go out and get a copy of this book, Delay, Don't Deny, because it's the real deal. Let me ask you, what can we expect from your new book? I know you got a new one coming out in June.
I do. And, when I wrote Delay, Don't Deny back in the end of 2016, as I said, I'd been doing intermittent fasting since late 2014. We had very few books out there that really told you what to do and how to do it. There were some science out there, but we were really just starting to learn about, the science and how great intermittent fasting is for us. Right. I like to call it the health plan with the side effect of weight loss. But really at the time, I only thought of it for weight loss. But now I'm like, wow, I would never stop because of the health benefits. Since then, my Facebook group that was very small has now grown into, I actually have 4 Facebook groups, but three main ones. And one of them is, we're 330,000 members. Wait, no, that one's 230,000 members, 230,000 members today. Altogether, it's over 350,000.
That's crazy.
It is, and it started with me and my husband on the couch. And I said, I'm going to put you in this group because I can't start a group by myself. So you're in this group. He didn't even do intermittent fasting at that point.
Right.
Now he does, just for the health benefits. But, it's just, there's so many people that wanted to do it. And so I wrote the first book to teach people how. But since then, I have learned so much more.
Yes.
I mean, with the questions that we get every day And, I realized, I love Delay Don't Deny, and I'm very proud of that book. But
Absolutely.
over the years, I've realized, gosh, I really wish I could go back and put this in there and this in there and this other thing in there. And now we've got all this new science and, gosh, I wish I could put that in there. So I wrote a new book. And my first book, Delay Don't Deny, is self-published. I did it completely by myself.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, just me. I designed the cover. I wrote the book. I did the editing. I uploaded it. I mean, everything. Anyone out there who's listening that's ever wanted to write a book, I could do a whole separate podcast just about that. But with self-publishing and the platforms that are out there, really anyone can do this.
Yes.
Anyone can do what I've done. But when it came time to write the new one, I want to go into Target and see my book there. I want people to be wandering through the bookstore. I want someone who, I used to go to Barnes and Noble back when I was desperate for, what diet, I was going to try today. I would wander down the diet aisle and just look at what the new releases were, what books had I not seen. And that's how I would stumble upon a new diet book. So, my self-published book is only available, the paperback, through Amazon. But I really wanted to have my book out there where people could stumble across it. So this one is going to be traditionally published. It's called Fast, Feast, Repeat.
Nice.
And it's published by St. Martin's Press, which is a division of Macmillan. So it's available
I like the word feast. I like the word feast. That's right up my alley.
Me too. We fast, then we feast, then we repeat, and that's it. And so it's available for pre-order. You can go anywhere that you buy books. Like anywhere you buy books, you can pre-order Fast, Feast, Repeat by Jen Stephens.
Already down. I'm already down.
I'm so glad. And it'll be out June 2nd. But for now, I'll start with Delay Don't Deny. It's enough to get you started. And really, I think a lot of people should start with Delay Don't Deny anyway. And then once you're in the lifestyle, you go and you look for more, you dig in more with Fast, Feast, Repeat. Of course, one thing that I'm really excited with about Fast, Feast, Repeat, how you turn to the middle so you would know how to start?
Yes.
I have a chapter in Fast, Feast, Repeat called the 28-Day Fast Start. And it's for people who are ready to get started. It tells you what to do for your first 28 days.
Right. Yeah, that sounds great. Now, I didn't start in the middle of the book because that's what my friends told me to do. They told me to start from the beginning. I just cheated a little bit.
I get it.
When I have done some long-term subbing, I had one stint that was about 9 weeks last year and one that was 6 weeks earlier this year. And, I'll eat lunch. I'm friends with those teachers. We would eat lunch, and some of us would be counting out our pretzels and talking about diets. How do I convince them that intermittent fasting is the way to go?
Well, tell them, that this book was written by a teacher who struggled, and that, as when I first started, no one had heard of intermittent fasting. They're like, there's Jen, she's doing a crazy diet again. Of course, intermittent fasting is not a diet. It's a lifestyle, and it's a pattern of eating. I know every diet says this is not a diet, but it really isn't. A diet is what you eat. Intermittent fasting is when. So you're not changing anything. I'm not asking you to change anything today except when you eat. And just by narrowing the window of time when you eat, we call it time-restricted eating or your eating window, you don't have to count out your pretzels. You don't have to micromanage what you eat. You just keep it in that eating window and then let your body access your stored fat during the fasting time. And, it takes a few weeks for your body to adjust. Before then you might feel lethargic. You might be tired. You might not even lose weight at first as your body adjusts.
Right.
You're going to be cranky, maybe hangry. But once your body adjusts, you feel so good. When I was a teacher, I remember I would, have my breakfast before school because that was, what was the most important meal of the day.
Me too.
I would even drive through to get my breakfast. And then I would, have my big Starbucks coffee. And then I would have a latte mid-morning. I had an illegal coffee pot in my classroom. And so I would brew up a cup and it would be a latte and I would drink that. And then I would have lunch. Then I would have an afternoon latte. So I always had those lulls where I would have, the low energy. Once I started intermittent fasting, though, you don't need any of that. You just go through the school day and you're so much more productive and you don't have that afternoon slump that you used to have. So I would wait, not at first. I didn't start off fasting through the school day. You have to adjust to it. You could start by just skipping breakfast and start at lunchtime and eat then. But after my body adjusted and I'd been living an intermittent fasting lifestyle for a while, it got to the point where I never ate at school. I would
Right.
just go to work, drink my black coffee, drink my plain water, my plain sparkling water. And then I would go home after school and I would open my eating window and I would just eat what I wanted for the rest of the night and start again the next day.
Yeah, it's great. You know, I'm a strong type A personality, and when I set my mind to something, I do it. I was shocked I went to 24 right away, and my window is 3:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And told my wife the next morning, I said, I'm skipping breakfast for maybe the first time ever.
Right.
And I don't even feel hungry. I mean, it was almost like I had just trained myself to eat breakfast at the same time every morning. So I was actually shocked at how easily it was for me to adapt to it because I set my mind on it. I think the first day I took a big mug of black coffee and 2 water bottles. And I got through the coffee and half a water bottle. I didn't even feel like I needed the rest. So, I agree with everything you said. It's legit. It's legit.
It really is. And for teachers, I would spend a lot of the school day thinking about, is it time for a snack? Should I have another cup of coffee? Is it time for lunch? When is it lunchtime? What can I eat? Where's my snack? And then once I, didn't need that anymore, it freed up so much more time. Sometimes I would still go into the teacher's workroom and have lunch with my friends. And what I mean by have lunch with my friends is they would be eating lunch and I would sit there and drink a beverage, maybe my black coffee, maybe my plain water. I would visit with them, but I wasn't eating. And, they stopped thinking I was crazy when they saw me lose all the weight and keep it off. Then they started fasting too. But, some days I didn't join anyone for lunch and I was so much more productive. I would work through lunch.
That's basically what I do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to take anything home with you because you get your work done. It basically gives you an extra planning time.
And you stay busy, so you don't really, it's not like you're thinking about eating.
Yeah, so everybody else is eating lunch and I'd go to the copier because, you don't have to stand in line because they're busy eating. You're at the copier.
Right. You mentioned earlier, and I totally agree that this is not really a weight loss plan. Hit some of the big other benefits that you would say about intermittent fasting besides the weight loss.
Well, it is a weight loss plan. I don't want people to think that it isn't, because it is. It's the health plan with the side effect of weight loss. Like I said, when you fast, your body is better able to tap into your fat stores preferentially. So you really burn a lot of fat and you do not burn muscle like you do on a traditional low calorie diet. And there are a lot of hormonal and metabolic changes that go on in your body while you're fasting. But the key is that you have these hormonal changes. For example, insulin goes down. So many of us are insulin resistant. Everybody who's listening, pat your belly. If you've got a big old belly and you're an apple shape, you're probably insulin resistant. And it's because, your body releases insulin in response to food that you eat and all those sweetened beverages, coffee with cream and sugar, diet soda. Your body gets trapped into a cycle of insulin release. And so when you have high levels of insulin, you're not going to tap into your fat stores effectively. That's why we stick to plain coffee, plain water, nothing sweetened, no diet soda during the fast. It's not about the calories. We want to avoid sweetness that tells our body to release insulin, keep our insulin low. But when your insulin is low, you're able to tap into your fat stores, which is fabulous. But also all of these issues that come along with insulin resistance get corrected. And so, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, so many things that we suffer with, autoimmune diseases, a lot of these things are linked to hyperinsulinemia, which is high levels of insulin. And, people don't even realize that's what's going on.
Yeah, that's great. It's really why I can't overemphasize to the listeners. I did it just because my friends mentioned it to me. And now, I'm a believer. It really works. It really works. And I feel healthier. I haven't lost energy at all. I'm a softball and volleyball official, and the listeners know that because I talk about it all the time. When I'm not doing that, I try to walk 5 miles a day. So it's not like it's zapped my energy or anything like that.
No, you have better energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Now, would you mind before we get out of here if I just ask you a couple of teacher specific questions that I know the listeners always like to hear from teachers about? Is that okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. When you taught, what made your favorite substitute teachers your favorite?
I liked the ones that I saw around the school a lot. The ones that I got to know, the ones that you could tell loved the kids and the kids loved them. I liked the substitutes who wanted to be there and who you could tell that they enjoyed being there. That was
Right.
the sub we fought over those subs.
Yes.
And the kids loved them. And
Right.
they not only did they, they knew how to, take care of your classroom. They were very adaptive. They could you've got to as a substitute teacher, I think that's the hardest job in the school, honestly, because you're going into different classrooms and there are different rules in every classroom. So you have to be able to you have to be a chameleon when you're
Absolutely.
a substitute teacher.
Right.
Here's a funny story. I don't know that I could be a substitute teacher. Funny story. It was Veterans Day or something. And so we had a program going on, and my students, I pulled them out from my gifted class, but I didn't have any students at that moment. And so I was in the office, and one of the first grade teachers said, "Oh my gosh, I have to go. Who can cover my class for a minute?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not doing anything. I'll go cover your class. I've got time." So I went down to this first grade classroom to cover her class. And those kids, it made me feel for substitutes because they were working on this, this activity. And then one kid raised his hand and he's like, "Can I go sharpen my pencil?" I'm like, "All right." So he goes over to the electric pencil sharpener and sharpened his pencil. I'm like, "Okay, no big deal." So then another kid raises his hand. "Can I sharpen my pencil?" I'm like, "Yes, go sharpen your pencil." So then like 3 more kids went and sharpened their pencil. And then this little girl raised her hand, and you could tell she was so mad. Raised her hand, one of those little rule follower girls. Said, "We're not allowed to sharpen our pencils."
There's one in every class.
Yeah. But I was like, wait a minute. Y'all know you're not allowed to sharpen your pencils, and you all just did that? And they're like, "Yes." And
that's what they do.
But I think that's what it's like to be a substitute teacher.
It
because
is.
They're like, they know they're not supposed to, but nobody told you.
I love that story. Did you actually, a day after a substitute had been there, would you ask your students about the sub?
Oh, yeah. And, it just depends. I was like, "What y'all do? How'd it go?" That sort of thing. We wanted to know. And then we knew which subs to get back again, like I said, because they tried to stick to our plans. They tried to, and they kept the kids focused. The kids got things done. And also the kids enjoyed it.
Yes.
But not like a free-for-all, right? I mean, not
You actually just answered the last question I was going to ask you. What's the best way for them to connect and kind of making the class fun but yet keeping them on task at the same time? I think that's an answer I get from a lot of people. So I agree with that as well.
Because we don't want to come back as a teacher and find that the substitute ignored our plans.
Right. Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what closing words do you have that might encourage us any more about how intermittent fasting works?
Well, I just really think that every teacher who struggles with energy during the school day, and anybody who wants to free up some time to be more productive, intermittent fasting is what you're missing and you didn't even know it. Read Delayed on Tonight. The clean fast is what I really want to hammer home. And you may know somebody who's tried intermittent fasting and said it was hard, or maybe you even tried it, but you were putting cream in your coffee, or maybe you were drinking diet sodas, or maybe you were having lemon flavored water, and intermittent fasting was really hard. I would like to encourage you to try it my way with something like I just said. We call it the clean fast, and stick to black coffee, plain tea, plain water, plain fizzy water, no added flavors, nothing sweet, no diet sodas. You don't eat any food. Obviously. But if you stick to the clean fast, it's so much easier than if you try to sneak stuff into your coffee or just add a little packet of this or a little drop of that. It actually makes
it If you sneak it in, you'll want more.
Yep.
If you sneak it in, you'll want more.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. That's great. Listeners, I will encourage you to buy the book, Delay, Don't Deny. She's got a great podcast, Intermittent Fasting Stories. Watch for the new book. And a lot of us hang out on the Facebook page that she described. I know she's got a bunch of them. Delayed one of them, I think the one I'm on is specifically called Delay Don't Deny.
Yeah, there's one. It's Delay, Don't Deny, Intermittent Fasting Support. That's a good one to start with.
Yeah, I agree.
You can join that it's a book support group, but you don't have to have the book till after you join. You just agree that you're going to read it if you join the group. We expect you to read it because it really helps.
Yes.
After you've read it, I have Delay, Don't Deny, Advanced Book Support Group. It's after you've read the book and you're more of an advanced faster. It's a smaller group, but people are a little more knowledgeable there because they've read it.
Right. All right, Jen, fantastic. I sure appreciate you being with us today. I know you're going to have a lot of new converts out of this, so thank you very much, and you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Greg. You too.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right.
All right, guys. I love that interview. I hope you did too. I'll just leave you with these thoughts. I will not be able to substitute teach for 4 weeks. I won't be umpiring for 4 weeks either. And I know all of us are kind of in a similar situation right now. So I will just leave you with the thought, stay healthy out there. We'll get through this. See you next week. Music provided by Ben Sound.